New Central TV, known for its dedication to impactful storytelling, has hosted another compelling edition of its town hall series, this time in Anambra State. The focus was on the escalating insecurity in Nigeria's southeast region, a crisis that continues to disrupt daily life and economic activity. Residents and stakeholders shared personal stories about the worsening security situation, including the activities of the indigenous people of Biafra and the ongoing sit-at-home orders, which have severely affected both social and economic life in the region.
For 3 years now, I've not gone to my town. I tried to go only last year, but disguised for 2 days and ran away. So it's that terrible. And because people like us are not going home, the economy of the community appears go. So any the Kenya Rangaka, yes, the governor is trying. Last year he launched Agone Shemba. Abudo was a former governor in his own right, the new marshal now. You can't say he doesn't know what you're talking about. Mboso Darazia, you are nearly killed at around Lilu. I know that story. So it's a terrible situation, but added to that security problem, what you may call an attack on our people. The people of the southeast have been dehumanized, even by the security persons that are to control, to help them. No matter whether you are sick or not, you are age. In what country can that happen? You come down from the vehicle to pass a checking point. Last week,
this has nothing to do with IPOP. The problem is the media were reporting something else, while underneath something else was going on. So when I got home eventually, in fact, when I went after the quarrel, I told my brother, you know what, turn this vehicle. If I pass, they'll kidnap me. I think they work with those criminals in the bush. They kept them there. How can they keep this out more tanks and what have you? How large is Osumu? It's that forest that they cannot fish out those criminals.
The event brought together a diverse group of participants, including Anambra State Commissioner of Police, Ikoye Orutugu, traditional rulers, community leaders, and concerned citizens. The commissioner made a heartfelt appeal for greater public cooperation and support in the fight against insecurity.
Our position remains very, very clear. This is not about the government. This is about the people. We care more about the people. So let me ask the CP Anambra, will the police in Anambra State listen to the people? The answer will be
yes. The police is listening to the people. That's why solution is here.
Good. So as you listen to the people, will the police in Anambra commit to having this kind of town hall meeting with different communities to understand what they are going through, what their challenges are, so that when you know the things that you security agencies call intelligence is based on information, will you gather that information? And I can commit on my side that we will give you media coverage for every time you go into communities to listen, not to tell them, but to listen to them and hear their problems and understand where the challenges are.
I would say yes to that. But you see, community existence, police and the community should be a preference of give and take.
Meanwhile, the recent surge in kidnappings on the Port Harcourt-Bille Sea route has been attributed to suspected illegal crude oil refiners operating in Bille Creeks. According to freed kidnap victims, the illegal crude oil refiners expressed anger and frustration over being dislodged by Tantita Security Services. New Central's Biola Festus has been tracking this story. Take a look.
On the 4th of April this year, A passenger boat conveying some 6 persons from Port Harcourt to Bille was hijacked by suspected pirates. In desperation, families of the kidnapped victims cried out for help, urging authorities to enhance security measures on the waterways. 12 days later, the victims were released by their captors, but their freedom was not without a price. A whopping sum of 28 million naira was paid in ransom.
Where they took us, we don't know, nobody. If our brothers and sisters are looking for us, they cannot see us, even 10 years.
About 12 days without food. So we are drinking salt water. No food, beating us, just like that.
Right now, I am very sick. I now have a chest problem because they use the gun head to hit at my chest, hit all over my body.
However, contrary to what was previously believed, the abductors turned out to be a group of illegal crude oil miners and refiners, reportedly venting their anger against the Bille community for allowing Tantita Security Services pipeline surveillance in their domain.
That's always the problem. It's nothing that they come here to kidnap us, that we don't want them to do bushfire. Believe me, we don't want them to do bushfire, that we stop bunkering. So they are supposed to benefit from the bunker, but as believe we went and signed Tantita contract.
So when they took us to their destination, is there they revealed that somebody asked them to come and kidnap me, that I'm the Tantita chairman, head of the Tantita Bille, and I'm the one that taking care of the warheads from the Bille houses. I refuse them to do bunkering.
The victims explained that their abductors vowed to disrupt peace in Bille community and its waterways as long as Tantita Security Services continues to crack down on illegal crude oil activities.
Their major problem is the Bille people, because they said Bille people is the ones that scattered their pot that they are using to boil the crude. So Bille people is their targets, right? That any Bille boat they see, they will finish them. After this our incident, let's say any Bille boat that they see in that river, they will kill both the passengers and the drivers.
The Bille community remains gripped by fear and uncertainty, with residents hesitant to travel to their ancestral homeland due to the ongoing security concerns and threats from the illegal oil refiners. With the revelations by freed kidnapped victims, the onus is now on the government and security operatives to take decisive actions to protect the people of Bille community and address the menace of illegal oil refining, popularly known as bushfire in the area. In Rivers, for News Central, Biola Festus.
The General Officer commanding 3 Armored Division and Commander of Operation Safe Haven, Major General Folonsho Oyilola, has emphasized the need for media practitioners to remain professional in their reportage, noting the impact of news reports in nation building. Major General Oyilola says it is only through credible and quality reportage that the journalist can promote social cohesion in Nigeria. News Central's Chizoba Aniwe tells us more.
This is the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Plateau State, led by its chairman, Aliko during a courtesy visit on the GOC 3 Division and Commander of Operation Safe Haven, Major General Folosho Oyilola, at the Maxwell Kobe Cantonment. Aliko, the chairman of the NUJ in Plateau State, says the visit is to commend the efforts of the military in the state while seeking more collaboration between the men of the pen and those of the booth.
We must appreciate the 3 Armored Division and Operation Safe Haven for its commitment to tame the cycle of violence over the years. We commend your commitment and determination to tame the tide of conflict and crisis in the state, with visits to all military formations under your command and the stakeholders' engagement in Bokas, Mangu, and other local government areas towards finding a lasting solution to the incessant killings. The Union therefore urges you not to relent even in the face of daunting circumstances.
Appreciating media practitioners on the plateau for their contribution in peace building in the state, the GOC called for more synergy through professional reportage.
I firmly believe that the media plays a pivotal role in shaping public perception and, crucially, ensuring the accurate dissemination of information. We value your partnership in promoting peace and in actively countering the spread of fake news, which can have devastating consequences, escalating tensions, and undermining national security. We commend those journalists who consistently uphold the highest standards of ethical reporting, particularly when operating within conflict-sensitive environments. Responsible journalism is the bedrock of a strong national security framework and cultivates essential public trust.
The major goal of the collaboration is to ensure that journalists provide accurate, unbiased, and comprehensive information, and above all, consider national security while doing their job. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anioi.
Away from that, Vice President Kashim Shettima on Thursday presided over the 149th meeting of the National Economic Council at the State House in Abuja. The meeting began at about noon after Shettima arrived at the council chamber of the State House, the venue of the meeting. The meeting has the Rivers State Administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas, retired, in attendance, and is the first since President Bola Tinubu declared emergency rule in the oil-rich state. The governors, some of whom were represented by their deputies, are meeting amid fresh attacks in Plateau, Benue, Borno, and Enugu states. Since early April, more than 120 locals have been shot, hacked, or burnt to death in Plateau State alone, according to Amnesty International and multiple eyewitness accounts. In the meantime, the Rivers State Sole Administrator has once again failed to appear before lawmakers of the House of Representatives following an invitation received from the House. The session, supposed to be an interactive dialogue between the House of Representatives Ad-Hoc Committee on Rivers State Oversight and the State's Sole Administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas, retired, failed to hold. Members of the committee then held a closed-door session that lasted almost an hour, but refused to speak to newsmen after the meeting. However, our source at the Presidential Villa reveals that the Sole Administrator was present to attend the Federal Executive Council meeting. Primary school teachers under the Federal Capital Territory Administration's Local Education Authority earlier today barricaded the gate of the Federal Capital Territory Administration in Abuja. The protesting teachers, who turned out in large numbers, accused FCT Area Council Chairman of insensitivity and neglect of local primary schools. They are demanding the full implementation of their 25% and 35% salary increases and are calling on the federal government to take over the funding of primary education in the FCT. Flight operations across several domestic airports in Nigeria have been disrupted as staff of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency protest over poor working conditions. The industrial action, which began at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, saw NIMET workers shut down weather centers at airports nationwide and withdraw all meteorological services. The protest has affected flight schedules, including those of Air Peace, which has announced the suspension of its operations due to the strike. In a statement posted on its official X handle, Air Peace confirmed the suspension of flights and expressed hope for a swift resolution, citing safety concerns arising from the lack of critical weather updates. To address the growing disruption, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has invited union leaders to a meeting. Now, that meeting is expected to take place on Thursday as the government moves to end the strike and restore normal operations. The maiden flight from the Minna International Airport in Niger State to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja has landed with officials from the Niger state government, led by the governor, Mohammed Bago, and his counterpart representing the federal government. The governor says that the airport, surrounded by an agriculture and manufacturing export-free zone, will help the state export farm produce outside the country, increasing its internally generated revenue and providing opportunities for thousands of residents in the state engaging in agriculture. Also, both Ministers for Information and National Orientation and the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security commended the governor for his collaboration with the federal government to fulfill promises made to citizens. Amadin Uyi has more.
It was a much-awaited moment for officials of the Niger State government, Nigeria's Ministry of Information, and the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. The maiden flight from the Minna International Airport to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja is set to commence operations of the airport attached with an agriculture and manufacturing export-free processing zone.
This is a route opening flight, opening Minna to the skies of the world. Niger State is agrarian. Around the airport we have 3,000 hectares of farmland where we call the free zone. It's an agro-free zone. We intend to start doing exports there, so there's a cargo terminal around there. So this maiden flight has just opened the skies for Niger State.
Well, this is a dream come true. The governor has indeed made this to happen. He's so passionate about opening up Niger State, about opening it up for agriculture, opening it up for commerce, for industry, for prosperity, I should say.
The Niger State Governor, Mohammed Bago, says that the state is currently investing in agriculture with an aim at feeding the nation and exporting to neighboring countries.
Right now, we are building the largest greenhouses around the airport city in Africa. It means you can have fresh flowers delivered across Africa, fresh agro-processed materials everywhere in the world. This is one of the attractions. Secondly, we are building the first Hilton brand hotel in the northern Nigeria. This is an attraction. We have the Zuma Rock, we have the 4 hydropower dams. We are harvesting these waters for agriculture. We have been able to clear about over 1 million hectares of land now. So Niger State is already feeding Nigeria, and we know we're going to feed Africa.
Federal officials from the Ministry of Information and National Orientation and the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security commended the efforts of the governor and his partnership with the federal government.
This is one great example that the Niger State has shown that the state can indeed come together with the federal government to collaborate in order to bring prosperity to Nigeria. We feel so excited. I'm doubly excited at the fact that this is part of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President Bille Ette Ibas, and the fact that it's happening also in my home state, and with my governor taking the lead.
The federal government is always collaborating with the states because the lands are there, and whether for rainy season or for the dry season. And of course, Niger State is taking the lead because of the land size and the water resources. So I think this is just an opportunity, and we are glad and happy that we have a very energetic and visionary governor. With the support of Mr. President, definitely this vision of a 1 trillion economy is right on course.
With the airport now fully completed and operations set to commence, and the state government now massively invested in agriculture, many here believe that the export of agricultural produce can begin, which will increase earnings of the state. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
The Katina state government says that it will leverage available opportunities to mitigate the effects of climate change, which has led to diminishing harvest from farmers and loss of farmlands due to desert encroachment. This was during a climate and green investment summit which held in Abuja, the capital, where experts, including local and international partners, deliberated on strategies aimed at harnessing green investment opportunities that will help attract funding and foster partnership between the state government and development partners.
We understand that water security is climate security. The two are inseparable. For that reason, established Katina State Irrigation Development Authority, first of its kind in the subnational. Through this institution, we have distributed dry season inputs, thousands of solar power irrigation farms to farmers to enable year-round production despite challenges attached to seasonal farming.
The creative economy in Katina can help lead a shift towards sustainable fashion that embraces environmentally friendly materials, eco-conscious production methods, and waste reduction. Furthermore, renewable energy is essential in reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and mitigating the impacts of climate change. The creative sector can be
At the 11th Africa and Middle East Gender Mainstreaming Awards held in Lagos, New Central's Umar Yakubu Kirawa was among the distinguished individuals honored for outstanding contributions to gender inclusion. Organized by Business Engage, the event celebrated champions of gender mainstreaming across the continent with a renewed call for deeper and more deliberate inclusion. Ni Omoni completes the report.
Gender mainstreaming, a global imperative for sustainable development, aligns with Sustainable Development Goal 5, achieving gender equality. The awards, an initiative of Business Engage, recognized individuals. One of such is New Central's Northeast correspondent Umaru Kirawa and corporate representatives from across Africa and the Middle East for their commitment to gender inclusion. The goal is to inspire continued efforts towards gender parity across sectors including media, business and community development.
There is a strength in the female gender that we need to tap into. Leadership in terms of integrity and dedication to whatever they put their hands on.
Africa has gone beyond ignoring gender, right? We cannot continue to sideline a particular gender, and that's because we have also seen how much contribution, right, the female gender generally has contributed to the economy, and it's just a wake-up call to keep the inclusiveness going.
As you know, New Central is a Pan-African international media organization, and our focus as an international media outlet has been giving voice to the voiceless and, of course, telling African stories by Africans through African platform and others. And as such, I want to use this medium to appreciate each and everyone, and of course, encourage other organizations and corporate bodies to embrace gender mainstreaming in whatever they are doing.
Stakeholders stress the need for intentional, evidence-based strategies that ensure both men and women are actively involved in decision-making and implementation.
We're actually being relegated to the background, and I'm happy for this kind of program. This kind of program portrays the female gender a lot.
We would not rest on our oars. We continue to improve in including both gender in our banking activities.
Be positive, keep pushing, don't give up no matter anything.
They acknowledged that while culture, tradition and religion can pose challenges to gender mainstreaming, continued awareness and advocacy will ultimately dismantle these barriers.
The President and Chief Executive of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has been appointed to the World Bank's Private Sector Investment Lab, joining a select group of global business leaders tasked with driving investment and job creation in emerging economies. In a statement that confirmed his acceptance, Dangote reaffirmed his commitment to fostering sustainable economic growth through private sector-led investment, noting the transformative potential of such initiatives in developing markets. The World Bank announced Dangote's appointment on Wednesday as part of a broader expansion of its private sector investment lab, which now enters a new phase aimed at scaling up solutions to attract private capital and create jobs in the developing world. Let's switch gears now to the Vatican, as the Vatican says that nearly 20,000 mourners from around the world said their goodbyes to Pope Francis on Thursday. It's now only 2 days left to Saturday's funeral, and church leaders have promised that the Pope's body will stay open past midnight so everyone could say and pay their last respects. The visuals you're getting there are live visuals from the Vatican as mourners continue to pay their last respects to the Pope. Meanwhile, in Lagos, the Holy Cross Cathedral has held a special Mass for the late Pope Francis. Catholics believe the Mass is a testament to the impact of Pope Francis's 12-year papacy on the lives of Catholics in Nigeria. Igbalani Omoni was there for News Central. Take a look.
Today, the Catholic community gathers in unity, sorrowful but grateful as they honor Pope Francis, a leader, a friend to many. Pope Francis, as he was known, left behind a legacy woven with threads of love, compassion, and unwavering faith. Here, prayers rise in the smoke of the incense in the sacred place for the soul of a leader who journeyed through life with grace, a leader whose heart truly resonated with the people across the globe.
In a moment heavy with sorrow, yet imbued with the hope of the resurrection, we remember him, not merely as a pontiff, but as a man who lived and died as a humble disciple of Christ.
In attendance were government officials, ordinary individuals, clerics from different religions, all reminding Catholics that they are not alone in their grief. Each of them tells a story woven through the years by the teachings of Pope Francis.
The fondest memory is just now recently, sitting in a wheelchair coming from hospital. He then made a very important message about women being very strong, very powerful, and women working very hard. And that it is a pity that in our church there is less appreciation of that.
I'm not a Catholic, and from afar in the work that we saw, what was remains as a fond memory was his pursuit for justice. It was his pursuit for peace and just the warm smile and embrace to all of humanity.
Pope Francis was a man who celebrated the marginalized, spoke for the voiceless, who always reminded everyone that love knows no boundary. He showed love to the end. On his final day, even as frayed as he was, he celebrated the triumph of resurrection on Easter Sunday.
A servant of God who serves the poor, who serves the world sacrificially, and inspires us to know that if we are servants of God, we serve with humility.
The way he lived his life, it wasn't all about him, it was about touching lives and then living for the people and making sure that he follows God's way of living, not living for this world.
As the world prepares for the final goodbye scheduled this Saturday at the St. Basilica in Vatican City, the world will gather to return the same love he gave. It's a collective remembrance, everyone gathered here to say their goodbyes, laden with love, hope, and promise to carry forward the message of peace and compassion. And this is what Pope Francis believed in at the Cathedral of Christ the King in Johannesburg. For News Central, Bongani Sizira.
We're reporting live from the Holy Cross Cathedral in Lagos, where a special mass has been held in honor of the late Pope Francis. And behind me you can see in attendance parishioners from various archdioceses.
Shortly after the opening procession, special renditions were given alongside a paper anthem in honor of the late Pope Francis.
Through Christ our Lord.
Summons and charges from the Catholic Archbishop of Nigeria alongside other bishops centered on exemplified life Pope Francis lived.
In gratitude to God for calling him to serve the church that he loves, even with his poor health, having one of his lungs removed at the age of 20, he gave God his everything. Because according to him, to love is to give everything.
As we mourn, let us mourn like people who have a hope in the death and resurrection and the power of the resurrection on all those who have lived and gone back home.
Catholics faithful highlight what Pope Francis stood for and his impact to the environment. They also hinted on how the next Pope will be chosen.
He was one who cared for people in the margins of society, a merciful Pope, for the poor, for the needy. He gave us so many other parts of the liturgy. For example, Pope John Paul, who departed, gave us an extra mystery of the Rosary. Pope Francis gave us 3 more ejaculatory praises to Our Lady. Our Lady of Hope, pray for us. Our Lady of Mercy, pray for us. And Solace of Migrants were the 3 things he added to the liturgy. He gave us the Holy Year of Mercy.
And also, he was a lover of the environment. His document, or encyclical called the Laudato Si, for our common earth, it became a special document for all environmentalists, for all civil society groups in the world. They adopted it.
So we don't know who it will be, but we will pray. This prayer they've asked us to pray, the Sede Vacante prayer, while our seat, the seat of the Pope is empty, we pray for the will of the Holy Spirit.
For the morning period, the Sede Vacante prayer is to be recited until a new Pope is elected. Other guidelines include display of the late Pope's picture at parishes, opening of a condolence register, and the papal flag be flown at half-mast, and petitions being included in daily and Sunday masses for the repose of the soul of the late Pope Francis. In Lagos for News Central, Igbalani Omoni.
Many thanks to Igbalani Omoni there for that report from the Holy Cross Cathedral Church in Lagos. And also earlier was Bongani Ziziba's report all the way from South Africa, just showing us a glimpse of how Catholics in South Africa are mourning the passing of Pope Francis. Let's go on a short break, shall we? But coming up, Senegal's Constitutional Council strikes down controversial legislation. We'll tell you all about this just after the break. Join us again. And the news continues in West Africa, where Senegal's Constitutional Council has struck down a proposed revision to the controversial amnesty law introduced under former President Macky Sall. Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko's administration had aimed to exclude serious crimes such as torture and killings from the law's protection, seeking to enable prosecutions related to political violence between 2021 and 2024. However, the council ruled the amendment unconstitutional, citing breaches of international legal standards. It also emphasized that such crimes remain prosecutable under existing law. A heavy firefight followed after Al-Shabaab terrorists on Thursday launched a pre-dawn attack on a strategic Somali army base in the middle Shabelle region of south-central Harshibali state. Now, security sources say the Somali National Army, supported by local militias, engaged in fierce combat with the Al-Qaeda-affiliated group, resulting in multi-casualties on both sides. Despite al-Shabaab's claim that it had captured Wagadi village and overrun the army base, the Somali Defense Ministry, the village remains under military control. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, urging both Moscow and Kyiv to return to the negotiating table to end the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Ramaphosa made the appeal during a media briefing at the Union buildings, where he hosted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is in South Africa for a working visit.
President Zelensky's agreement and commitment to an unconditional ceasefire should be seen in positive light, as the issues about ceding territory and everything else should be negotiated at the negotiating table or talked about at the negotiating table. And of course, once a ceasefire is in place, it is...
You're welcome back. As part of their joint mobilization drive ahead of the COP30 UN Climate Conference, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres convened a select yet representative group of heads of state and government on Wednesday, 23rd of April. The virtual closed-door meeting brought together leaders from some of the world's largest economies and most climate-vulnerable nations to discuss ways to strengthen global climate action and fast-track a just energy transition.
Brazil and I just concluded a unique meeting with a cross-section of world leaders focused on climate action and a just transition. The gathering included 17 participants at level of heads of state and government, representing some of the world's largest economy, including China and the European Union, and some of the world's most climate vulnerable countries. We also had leaders currently chairing important regional partnerships, the African Union, ASEAN, and the Alliance of Small Island States and CARICOM, along with many others. It was among the most diverse meetings of heads of state focused exclusively on climate in some time. Yet, I heard a unifying message.
A devastating Russian missile struck on Kyiv on Thursday that has now killed at least 9 people and injured dozens more, marking one of the deadliest attacks on the Ukrainian capital since Moscow began its invasion over 3 years ago. Now, while Ukraine has weathered numerous aerial assaults, Kyiv is generally better protected by air defenses from other cities across the country. The attack comes as U.S.-led efforts to broker a ceasefire and counter fresh obstacles. Just hours earlier, President Donald Trump criticized Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for rejecting Russia's demand that Kyiv recognize its occupation of Crimea as a prerequisite for peace. Nigeria's Eniola Bolaji has won the 2024 Africa Women in Badminton Award, honoring her excellence and impact in para-badminton. The award was presented during the Badminton Confederation Africa Annual General Meeting on Thursday, April 24th in China. A Paralympic bronze medalist and multi-time African champion, Bolaji is the second Nigerian to receive the prestigious honor, following Obiangeli Solaja in 2019. Team Nigeria has surged to the top of the medal standings at the Africa Senior Weightlifting Championship in Mauritius, securing an impressive 7 gold, 4 silver, and 1 bronze medal haul as the tournament nears its conclusion. Rafiatu Lawal and Didi Onome, they powered Nigeria's surge, each securing 3 gold medals in the 59 kg and 55 kg categories, respectively. And that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Stakeholders have advocated collaborative efforts between the police and community leaders to end insecurity and the southeast as New Central's town hall meeting was held today in Anambra State. National Economic Council meets at Aswa Rock with Rivers State Administrator in attendance. And we also told you that multiple casualties have been reported as Al-Shabaab terrorists attack strategic army base in Somalia. Now do remember that you can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central TV on DSTV channel 422. You can find us on GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, or you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith, the TV. Bye for now.